Be on your best behavior, everyone. YouTube says we are inappropriate for advertisers. I don't know if you guys, I know a couple people have been flagged on that recently. It's just...
He's so curious to know how that works.
It happens because they probably have an algorithm that looks for words, and every time you drop an S-bomb, it costs us money now.
I don't even remember saying that.
Maybe
I did.
Yeah, we occasionally drop a curse word, but I don't know that that disqualifies us. Anyway,
so
who cares? Just another reason why, if you build a business on YouTube, you don't actually have a business. Just letting you know.
Hey, Patreon.
Speaking of depending on other people for money, join Patreon. Patreon.com/woodwhisper if you want to help us out. We're going to take questions from Patreon today. By the way, it's Friday. Happy Friday. Friday Live. I'm Marc.
We made it. I'm Nicole.
This is my wife, my devoted, loving, supporting wife. I got to get a box. Go ahead, talk amongst yourselves.
Ben said, are your pants zipped? Maybe that was the reason.
Listen. I like having my fly down. It allows things to breathe.
While you're opening that, I'm going to show off our little gifts from Brian.
Go for it.
So Brian, is it Lurch? Lurch?
That's how I would say that.
Sent us an awesome set of custom mugs.
Sweet.
Here's yours. It says Marc. Here's mine. So don't drink.
It's got a very dark green, like a.
I love it.
Like a, what do you call that?
He made these.
Deep forest green.
Yeah. So he made these.
I'm glad he spelled my name correctly.
I know, right? And then he took our Patreon coin that you get when you are at, I don't remember what level, but it's one of the little things. And he made a cool wooden nickel out of it with your logo. Yeah. And then he made me this, which is, I'm going to turn into a Christmas ornament. I'm going to drill it.
Oh, nice.
And I'm going to put a ribbon
through that's pretty cool. And that's got the Wood Whisperer logo on it. Sweet.
So yeah, I'm getting into some woodworking. I'm going to use a drill.
Atta girl. You better wear hearing protection and eye protection.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want you to get in trouble.
Yeah. And for those of you, you might have seen Marc post, I have a new scroll saw.
Yeah, the new Jet scroll saw.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Gonna be doing some scrolling.
Scrolling. Okay, so I do want to thank well, aside from, what was his name? Brian. Aside from Brian, I want to thank the folks at Maverick Abrasives. Hooked up with them on Instagram. They've got a good Instagram account that you should check out, and they sent me some stuff to test out. And I haven't tested it yet, so I can't really report back. But I've got...
You haven't tested the box you hadn't opened.
I just opened it.
Right now.
Yes. Believe it or not, I have not tested it as per the recent opening. So I've got some abrasives for my drum sander. And if you've ever used a drum sander, you know that that's a torture test for abrasives. So you need a very durable abrasive that doesn't clog very easily. So I got a bunch of rolls of this stuff. He sent me some samples to try out, and I will report back and let you guys know what I think. But you can check them out at maverickabrasives.com, and they're Maverick Abrasives on Instagram. That's how I got in touch with them. Pretty cool, though.
Are you goose to their Maverick?
Of course I am. You're very funny.
I know.
No one cares about that movie anymore. Oh, shoot, and I forgot my Dovetail thing.
Oh, yeah.
I
can go get it.
Yeah, you go get it.
Yeah, you talk.
I'll talk about the Woodworkers Fighting Cancer project. So, Woodworkers Fighting Cancer is coming up. If you're not familiar with that, that's where we build a simple project. We encourage other people to build along with us. And for every person that builds, we donate a certain amount of money, usually $1 per project. We donate to the charity that we select. And then if they do a YouTube video on it, we'll donate $5 for that person. We also have auctions and corporate sponsors and all that good stuff, and we raise a lot of money for charity, which is fantastic. So this year, we put it out to you guys. We had 2 ideas for a project, and we wanted something very simple this year and fairly small in scale. And we came up with 2 ideas. One was a memory frame. I'll explain that in a second. And the other is a washers game. And last time I looked at the poll, when Nicole comes back, she'll correct me if I'm wrong. But I think the memory frame is in the lead. Memory frame is the winner, right?
Yes. Okay. I don't know how to turn this microphone, so people probably heard me breathing. And
most likely. It's a lot of work for Nicole to get into my office. She's...
Well, no, I'm like...
Did you go...
No, we're at a high altitude. But the new microphone is different.
It's
so
awesome.
I didn't know how to turn it off.
So yeah, so we're going to be doing the memory frame. Just to confirm, that was the winner,
yes,
correct?
That's the winner. And we are going to do the washers game because I want to play. So.
All right, well then you will do the washers game. Fine. I have other things to do.
Yeah.
I like how she just makes work for me. We're doing the washers game.
We are.
Okay. Yeah, so this memory frame, super simple. It's just a picture frame. And the picture frame, as you know, can look like anything. It could be anything you want it to be. It's a picture frame with a backing on it that allows us to cast something in epoxy, all right? So even if this isn't something to memorialize someone, you could definitely have kids just throw some fun stuff in there and make a little frame that they could put in their bedroom and say, wow, look what I did. We are
Capture
also...
the moment in time.
Exactly. We are also working with Peter Brown on this. You might be familiar with him. He has a great YouTube channel. It's called Shop Time if you haven't seen it, but he does a lot of epoxy casting. We figured he'd be a very appropriate person to partner with on this since I haven't done any casting. I work with epoxy a lot, but I've never casted anything. I actually did a sample. It's over there. It looks really bad. Right? There's nuance.
Like, I need to contact Peter after this.
Who knew that there's nuance to this process? So Peter's kind of giving me some guidance so that I can kind of, you know, out of the gates get a good result. Hopefully, we'll see.
And we want to make sure that it's a good project for the charity.
Exactly. So it's going to be very easy, very giftable, very fun to do with kids. So a lot of people will jump into that. Last thing I want to do is thank Eric for sending me this beautiful Ron Bontz. It's a half-blind dovetail tool.
So what do you do with it? I know.
Looks like you should shave with it. It actually looks like a really non-ergonomic card scraper. Yeah. You could use it for that.
So Bontz saw.
Yeah, so I emailed Shannon and Matt when I first got this. I'm like, guys, what is this thing? And Matt was like, worst saw ever. Like, it's got no teeth on it. So basically, it's a very specialized tool. If you're making half-blind dovetails, as you're cutting your pins, you have to cut on a 45-degree angle because you're kind of creating that socket in there, right? So in order to get that, like the walls nice and clean all the way through, you have to saw, and then you usually can only go so far. There's still material in there that you need to saw away, but you can't because you can't reach it. So usually chisels is the way you get to that stuff. This is a tool that you basically put it into that kerf slot, smack it down, and it continues that cut all the way through. So if you do a lot of half blinds, this thing's going to save you a bunch of time. So you can check out this guy's stuff, Ron Bontz, at bontzsawworks.net. That's B-O-N-T-Z, sawworks.net. Cool. Really cool stuff. I love the boutique makers. These things, just a well-made tool.
The handle, I like the handle.
It just gets me excited. I get excited about it. It's so dumb to be excited about things like that, but
no, it's not. It's your thing.
I guess
it's okay. You can like stuff.
Who's messaging me?
I don't know.
I'm on fire over here. It's John. I'll deal with that later. Okay, so I think that's it for announcements and stuff, right? Oh, guild sale. So wall hanging cabinet is on sale. Yeah, you've been 30% off.
This man has been busting his butt going through that content.
It was all week long. Yeah. I went back through. Now,
you're like me with my Amazon uploads.
Pretty much, right? The guild projects go back to like 2007, 2008. And things were different back then. The process was different. The quality was different. The way I would present the content was different. And the posts themselves looked very different.
2009.
Is it 2009? Yeah. You sure it's on 2008?
Yes.
Okay. Actually, this particular video is 2011. Yes. So
2009 is when
let me exaggerate, okay?
Okay, you can exaggerate.
It was like 1999. It was very early in the online woodworking world. So I actually went back, re-uploaded all the videos. I even edited some of them down. I didn't remove any information. I just applied some, techniques that I've learned over the years to compress time a little bit. Some of them I cut as much as 10 minutes out, and not removing any information, just removing extraneous things that didn't need to be there, or moving things around in the way that it just makes the video much more viewable. So 30% off. Got to check that out. That's a nice screen cap of Nicole going. So yeah, check it out. That's at thewoodwhispererguild.com/hanging-cabinets.
And you organized it. Did you say that you organized it?
I changed up the organization, yeah.
And you kind of made it.
It's two projects in one.
More.
Two projects in one.
Yeah.
And what happened was when I was actually building it, I was building the two projects together. So I would say, oh, here's the solid wood version, part one. Here's the plywood version, part one. But when you view it now, it kind of doesn't make much sense to do it that way. So I segmented it so that you've got all the solid wood videos and then all of the plywood ones. So pretty cool. And if you want to see me do things like cut a stop dado by hand, you'll see it in that video. If you want to see me on the polar opposite of the scale, you want to see me do some pocket screws, it'll be there too. Yep. It's a really good video. So hey, enough jibber jabbing. Jibber jabber jibby. Let's do some questions, shall we?
We have some questions from our Patreon members. We put up a post every Thursday to
Except for today, which was Friday morning.
Yeah. Well, I forgot. I'm sorry.
Okay. Mark Nyland. First one.
Nyland
Says, good morning, all. I hope you're having a great morning. My question is, what wall mounting method is preferred for various things attached to walls, vertical surfaces, tools, cabinets? Is it direct connect, French cleat, pegboard, magnetic strips, or something different? Would love to hear your ideas. For me, Mark, it's pretty simple. In the shop, if I have a large cabinet, I really do like French cleats. I think they're versatile, they're easy to move around if you need to, they support a lot of weight. But the thing you're hanging has to be able to accommodate a French cleat. If you're not familiar with French cleats, think of strips of plywood with opposing 45-degree angle cuts on them. So you have one on the cabinet, one on the wall, and it just hooks right down.
You have a video on that.
Yeah, just go to the Wood Whisperer and search for French cleat. You'll find my video. So when you have this kind of wall, though, in the shop, it's a different story. I've got this T111 material on here, and this is basically plywood. But I think it's about 5/8 of an inch thick. This will hang anything I need to hang. And I love to just directly drill because it's just easy. And I don't have to have a special cleat built for it. So it just kind of depends on the situation. Inside a house, French cleats are great too, because if you have a big cabinet, you could put your French cleat up, have it centered or let's say aligned perfectly in the space you want it to be so that the cabinet sits perfectly. But stud location is always a problem, right? Well, if you have a long French cleat, chances are you could find the studs somewhere along that cleat. And the holes in the cleat that goes on the wall, they don't have to be perfectly centered. No one's going to see them. So as long as you get them into studs, now your cleat is fully supported and you can hang your cabinet on the wall. Okay, Jake Bessler wrote in. He says, I'm working on planing and jointing some 8/4 10-foot boards for a table. Can't get them on my 6-inch joiner. I was hoping that you can give me some advice as to what hand plane I should buy for a starter. I'm not at all familiar with hand planes, so I don't have a clue where to start. Thanks so much. Love the show. Okay, I'm going to show you what I recommend. Boom shakalaka, baby. So folks who buy the book, Hybrid Woodworking, twwstore.com, when you buy the book, you will get a video that talks about my top 5 hand planes.
Is that the bonus video?
Yes. Well, now I'm curious. I might be getting this confused. There is a video that comes with the book when you buy it, if you buy it from us. I think it's the top 5 hand planes, but it's not talking about this one. There's another video I have.
Jeez.
So confusing. I think this one is accessible. Can you Google real quick? Sure. It's basically the low angle jack plane, the only plane you need. And I know that was an article that they published on Pop Woodworking's blog as well. But I think he can get to it for free. I don't think he has to buy the book to get to it.
Okay.
Either way, this video is out there. If not on my site, it's going to be on Pop Woodworking's site.
The only hand plane you need.
Popular Woodworking. There it is. So just Google the only hand plane you need, and you'll find me talking about this particular plane. Okay, so the low angle jack I think is a fantastic beginner plane. You could put in different irons with different angles depending on what type of work you're doing. It's a nice format, so you can do jointing tasks with it. I think the body is long enough to do that, but you can also calibrate it and set it up for smoothing operations. It's a very versatile tool. And when I say the only plane you need, I'm saying that because it's a good title for an article that gets people to read it and watch the video. I don't necessarily think it's the only plane you need, but if you are buying your first, it's a great multitasker, and you can invest in this one tool and get a lot of things done. And certainly having all of the hand plane, size ranges probably is a better option if you want to get into milling with hand tools. But this will get you a long way into it. So one of my favorites right here.
Daniel had a quick question about our Amazon store that we talked about last week.
Yes.
He was looking for it and couldn't find it. It's not searchable. I think it has to directly come from us.
A link.
So we need to put it on the website.
Like it's not indexed in Google?
Yeah.
I actually tried to find it that way too, and I was like, I wonder if they're blocking it somehow.
Yeah, I don't think they're blocking it. I just don't think they're indexing it. Because the idea is you're coming to us.
That's what I mean by blocking it.
Well, anyway.
Blocking it from being indexed.
Right.
But yeah, we'll put that. Did
Amazon,
we put it on our support page yet?
I thought I did, but I'll double check.
We'll add the link to our support page, which will be...
It's really easy to remember. It's just amazon.com/shop/The Wood Whisperer.
That's great.
Shop, The Wood Whisperer.
But there's so many links to remember.
I know,
no one can remember anything these days, including me. Okay, that's good to know. Aaron Hargrave says, need to start putting a finish on my new workbench. I planned on jumping down the rabbit hole online on what to use. I just finished a big maple butcher block counter. The flood the blah blah finish I used, okay, on that was awesome. Dry time was fast. Thought about using that, but it's a film finish. Not sure I want my workbench to feel slick. What did you use? Getting anxious to get it done. I don't think you should really overthink workbench finishes. No matter what you do, it's going to wear down. You know, it's going to get sanded, scraped, planed, hit with hammers, hit with chisels. I do agree you don't want the surface to be super slick. So there are a couple different schools of thought on this, but don't overthink it. Just get something on there and don't worry about it and start using it. It's not that big of a deal. But if we're going to overanalyze it, let's do it. So I like Danish oil. I like oil-based varnishes just in general. They had nice color, they had a good amount of protection, and a Danish oil is not going to create a thick film. So 1 or 2 coats will give you some protection from spills, stains, wayward finish. It'll help glue pop off if glue gets stuck to the surface. And it's easy to renew, so that if your workbench looks like crap, like mine does, you could just plane it down or sand it down and then hit it with some more finish. Another option is something I've heard people do using water-based finish. So water makes the grain raise on wood, right? So if you use a water-based finish on a freshly sanded piece of furniture, the grain raises and that finish is actually rather rough. The surface feels almost sandpapery. So you could use that to your advantage if you wanted to by doing a water-based finish as your first and maybe only coat. That would build up to a film if you keep adding more, but the first coat swells the fibers and actually creates a little bit of a gritty surface. So that's almost on the extreme end of having a grit. And just to take a step back, the reason you don't want your workbench to be too slick is it's for work holding. Okay, and if you're holding work on a slick surface, things don't hold as well. So having a little bit of traction and grip is always a good idea. But for me, Danish oil, end of story. That's what I like to use, and you'll find different thoughts, but again, just don't overthink it. Put some finish on it, start using it. Okay, this is a very long question from Jesse Hansen. I'm going to try to sum it up to the best of my abilities. He's trying to cut veneer, and it's cupping on him. So he's saying, I'm sawing the veneer thin so I get a 3-piece matched panel for my boards, and he's gluing them to an MDF substrate. Let's see, so he's trying to get the edge joints perfect. So if you've ever done home sawn veneer or even commercial veneer, when you want to join those pieces together, it's kind of like jointing a full-size board. You need a nice, clean 90-degree edge, even though that piece is very, very thin. So the way I like to do this is take my veneer sheets and bundle them together, and then get 2 sacrificial boards, maybe some MDF, something thin, not too thick, not too thin, but you want to have a little bit of support to sandwich those veneer sheets, and you can kind of clamp them together. You can even screw them together as long as you're not screwing through your through the veneer layer. But you sandwich those thin pieces together, and now they kind of act like one board, and makes it a lot easier to just kind of run those things over the jointer and joint the edge. That's exactly how I would do it. His subsequent question is, do I pre-glue my sheets together and then glue the whole thing down to the substrate? Or do I kind of try to put them on one at a time? Absolutely, without a doubt, you want to glue them into one sheet before you put them down on the surface. So his concern is about, because they're so thin and he's getting a little bit of cupping, if he glues those pieces together, is it going to have this wavy rippled thing? And he doesn't have a vacuum press, which is further complicating the situation. Here's what I would do. If the stuff is moving on you, you can make a veneer flattening solution. Now, I hope your veneer is thin enough that it'll take well to this. Usually it's for commercial veneer, the very thin stuff that this works really well for, but it can still work on veneer that has a little bit more thickness to it. If you soak it in veneer flattening solution and then you put it into some kind of a press, basically layers of like screen window material and newspaper between so you could let it dry and let that veneer solution dry and soak through, put weight on it and those pieces can be made flat. Other complicated thing is he's using contact cement here because he doesn't have that veneer press. So if the pieces aren't really flat to begin with, it's going to cause problems. So that's why I say pre-flatten those sheets, even before you joint those edges. Pre-flatten them with some veneer solution, keep them in there for a couple of days until this stuff dries. A lot of times that veneer solution has adhesive in it. It's actually got a glue in it. So that can help, sort of lock the fibers into a particular, flatness. So as long as everything is nice and flat, then you joint the edges, put them together, put that whole sheet down with your contact cement, and I think you'll be okay. Last question I have from Patreon. Okay. Brody Bricky.
Yeah, I like his name. Brody Bricky.
Brody Bricky. Bricky. Looking forward to the jewelry box. Loving the things Matt is accomplishing with the High Boy. Combination of you two providing a nice balance between modern and period furniture. I like the fact that the old guy is doing the modern and the young guy is doing the old furniture. That's great. Can we get some hidden drawer spaces in one of the upcoming builds? Love to see a couple different ways of creating spaces in a piece, perhaps the upcoming desk. Yeah, I think we probably can.
For what? Are we
hidden compartments.
Oh, yeah. That came up somewhere. I can't remember where.
I talked to Cremona.
I love hidden compartments.
Do you?
Oh, I had a
I can take them or leave them.
I had a really cool jewelry box that you lifted the lid and there was a thing in the back that was a little hidden compartment.
My thing is, I've got nothing important enough to hide. That I don't need a hidden compartment for anything. All my stuff's in the open. I would have liked one when I was a kid, though.
Yeah, when you're a kid, it's really fun.
I don't think Brody is a kid, though.
No, but...
So anyway, I talked to Matt about it. He is incorporating some kind of a hidden something in the high boy. I will certainly consider it for the desk and the jewelry box. We'll see. The other thing I did, you remember the blanket chest? The green and green blanket chest has a hidden compartment on it.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what happens with hidden compartments.
Yeah.
You just don't care. Like, most people don't actually use them.
It's down on the bottom, right?
It's just down at the bottom, sitting there, waiting for you to put in something you really want to hide, but not really that much.
Gonna be the worst hide and seek ever for Mateo.
Oh my God, he would never find it. That's where we should put his iPad. So yeah, you should see some of that. I can't guarantee I'm going to do it because I don't really care that much about hidden compartments, but if it's convenient and makes sense and I can figure out a good way to do it, I'll definitely consider putting them into mine.
M. Mendez demands to know, he's asked me twice already in the chat.
Oh no.
When is that guild frame project going to be available?
Soon. Someone did that in the guild group and said, last I heard it was soon.
Yes.
And I replied, I said, yes. Exactly, soon. Here's what's happening with that. The projects and the videos are ready to go. We're going to do some preliminary testing probably today. We're hoping for next week. It's a logistics thing. When we have an influx of people coming into the Guild website to view something for free, it's a big security concern.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that these people who don't have any other projects are only seeing what we want them to see.
Yeah.
And as a business, we have to make sure that the sales message is in place so that people know how they can upgrade their account and all that stuff. So it's a lot of moving parts, and the content is one of the easier parts, and that's done. So that's the situation, and we're hoping for next week.
Oh, nice.
There will be there's going to be an early rollout to Guild members.
Okay.
Existing Guild members will find out about this. They'll kind of be our guinea pigs in a way.
Yeah.
And they might uncover some problems that I could fix before we release it to the general public. But we're hoping for next week.
Release the Kraken.
Yes.
I just got a super chat from Fred D. Hey Spagnolos, first time catching you guys live. Just after these 10 minutes of watching, I see how much Nicole actually does on Friday Live. This one is for you. Greetings from Denmark. That's really cool. Denmark.
What's he trying to say?
That I do a lot.
Yeah, but...
I don't know.
What is he trying to say? No, thank you. That's very nice of you.
Is that, did I say it right? It's not Freddie, it's Freddie?
Fetty?
Fetty?
Fide? Fee, there's no R.
That's true.
Okay, keep moving.
You rock.
What's with the...
I don't know.
The blower out there?
I don't know. Is the window open?
Well, yeah, it is.
You want me to go?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I like fresh air.
You go close it and I'll read you a question.
That's fine.
So I have some questions from last week that I still have in, but I'm going to ask a few. So Greg Rubel, can you add a bearing to a regular router bit to turn it into a pattern bit?
No.
No.
Most router bits do not have the capacity to do that. I guess someone could, if you were so inclined, weld something on there. I don't know. But usually if you have a bearing on a bit, there's a post that holds that bearing in place. Some of them you can unscrew and replace the bearing, like rabbeting bits. You could usually put a different bearing and get a different size rabbet. But a regular traditional bit is not constructed in such a way that you could safely put a bearing on it.
Josh said, not to promote another channel, but hey, we're all about that too. Dustin Penner is good for hidden compartments. So on his channel, he does hidden compartments.
Oh, good, good.
So,
well, he does it, so I don't have to.
Right, Dustin. That's why. Hey, go watch him.
Yeah.
And John Howard just said, any of these hidden compartment guys also do puzzle boxes. I'd like to learn to make those. It's funny because I'm keeping a running list of project ideas, and we've worked with Woodworkers in the past. He
does lots of puzzles.
He does so many puzzles. He has new puzzles almost every week.
Yeah.
But he wrote a book and we gave the book away, and I put in my notes to work with him to maybe collaborate to build one of those puzzles on the show. I would love to do that. So, oh, thank you. We should know Fridays is like yard work day.
It is. It really is.
We should just lock everything down.
Lock it down.
Lock it down. R. Dennett, I like this question. Is there a project you are intimidated by and are saving for later in your woodworking career? Like, I'll save that later kind of project. Love what you do, man. Keep it up.
Thank you. And not really. I haven't, like, we've been so busy lately, and I've hit so many of my bucket list projects already.
The Rubo.
I would say, well, yeah, the Rubo sort of, but it's not difficult. That's just like grunt work.
Yeah.
I would say the Blacker House chair was up there on my bucket list.
It's called chairs.
Chairs. It's all about the chairs.
Yeah.
These things are on my bucket list, and a lot of it comes down to time. But with those done, there are other things I want to build, but I've been so focused on the business and family stuff, like I haven't really had time to even sit down and go through the thought exercise of what my next major challenging piece would be, which is kind of sad. But it's just something I haven't had time to think much about.
I'll think about it. I'll give you a project.
Oh, thanks.
Make get that washer game for me.
That's very, very it will be the most beautiful washer game you have ever seen.
With gold-plated coffee cans.
Yeah, and we're going to call it Mini Bunghole. It's a whole new game.
Scott McLean's in the chat room. He lives in Florida, and he says, I just wanted to thank you guys again. Due to Irma, my woodworking journey may come to an end very soon, or possibly postponed for a very long time.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So I just wanted to say, I hope you get through this. I know I was going to reach out to you and email you because I know you were saying that you were going to sell some of your tools. We can work on that as long as we get a running list of.
Sure.
If you really do want to sell your tools, we can make a running list and go from there.
How about Mother Nature?
Yeah.
She's on a rampage.
She is.
Puerto Rico's without,
I would
like,
say words.
100% without power.
I would say words, but I don't want to get flagged by YouTube as an inappropriate channel.
Yes, we should not mention words.
You know.
Evidently, those get us in trouble.
So Scott, I hope things are going to turn around soon. I've got Project wants to know, what are some good wood choices for his first cutting board?
Maple.
There we go. Okay.
Honestly, get yourself some maple. It's one of the best, sort of cleanest type cutting board materials you could use, and it's a good quality hardwood, which is going to give you sort of the exercise of working with hardwoods if you've never done that before. There are certainly other woods you could incorporate, but I would focus on the basics early on and use something that's just a good quality. Oh, you got coffee grounds.
Duncan.
Oh, you're not even down near the bottom either.
I know.
Just crunch them. It's fine.
Ugh.
It's extra caffeine.
I guess I'm done with that.
Okay, see ya, coffee.
Thanks, Duncan.
Well, thanks for the warning. But yeah, I think maple is great, but there are certainly other hardwoods you could use. Control yourself.
Sorry. No. I got like a whole mouthful of them.
Ugh, that is so gross.
I was like, what's going on? Oh. My teeth are crumbling.
Crunchy. Nicole loves her coffee crunchy. All right, next.
Last week, Matt Finney asked this question, and somebody already asked it as well. It's about chisels.
T-chisel?
No, just chisels.
Okay.
Would you recommend Narex chisels as a first set? Millie's right here, so.
Okay.
We're.
Yeah, I would.
And what's your most commonly used hand plane?
Okay, well, we talked about the hand plane already. I would say that the jack plane probably is my most commonly used. Maybe behind the block plane, that gets used a lot on projects just to, ease edging. I bet you that's the mail. We're getting some small packages. No, you're fine.
Okay.
And the question about the chisels, the Narex chisels, they're fine. I mean, I've used them.
Yeah.
They are what I call my beater set.
Yeah.
And
it was a set of marbles before, right?
Mm-hmm. And I replaced them with these Narex. They're great. They sharpen up just fine. They take a nice edge. You know what I'm actually doing? Is this the one? So Cremona and I, when he was here, we were talking about the handles. I don't love the handles. This is a giant, very large handle. If you are...
You want to turn them down? Turn them down a little bit?
Well, no, I won't. I would just make new ones.
Yeah.
So if you're, let's say you have small hands, maybe you're like Cremona, or you're a woman, chances are you have smaller...
Small men's wetsuit.
Small men's wetsuit. So you have chisels like this with this, big grip on it are actually, I don't know, it's uncomfortable for me. So maybe people like them. That's my only gripe with these. I don't like the handle. And I honestly think, women, if you have smaller hands, this might be a brand you're not going to enjoy using.
Oh, I can't even get my whole hand
You can't get your whole hand around it, right? It's very beefy. So there's that. So Cremona and I were talking about how easy...
These are chisels too, right?
Those are chisels, Nicole.
But this is nice.
But one of these, I can't remember which one, this is fairly soft wood in the handle, and I was actually able to twist it and pull the handle right off. So you could, make your own handles if you wanted to go down that route, which is something I'd like to do in the future when I'm really have nothing but time on my hands.
So Freedy, you made Freedy feel bad. Fede, you made him feel bad.
Did I?
He did another super chat and said, no offense, but he is full of crap.
I'm just joking. There's very little that comes out of my mouth that you should take seriously.
No offense meant to you, Mark. Normally I watch Friday Live on YouTube after you've uploaded it. I don't feel left out. I know what you do.
Trust me, I don't feel left out. This channel's got my face plastered all over it. I'm not worried about not getting enough attention. I get more attention than I deserve.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I do have a couple more super chats. We have one from Haley. If the page would, there we go. I have an old bookshelf, pulled it apart and removed the old paint finish to make parts flat. Mm-hmm. Have hand planed shelves flat, but side pieces have dados. What's the best way to flatten timber that has dados? I only have hand planed so far.
Well, if there's a dado in a board, I don't know what your concern is necessarily. If you have a pre-finished board, I see two things you have to worry about, or what you might be thinking to worry about. If you're planing over dados, you might be concerned that you're going to get some kind of tear out, but typically your dado is running across the grain and your planes are running with the grain. You could plane right over a dado. The dado is not going to care one bit because you're going with the grain. But I think a secondary concern, which I'm not sure that's what he?
I think she.
She? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is what you're concerned about. If you take the pieces that go into the dados and you plane those flat, you now thinned that piece so that it no longer fits in the dado properly. That should be your bigger concern. Maybe that's what you're talking about.
Because it sounds like, again, I'm pretty sure it's she, refinishing, right?
Yeah, so it's an older piece, so you can't really thin those pieces down without sacrificing the quality of the joint.
Why not use just regular, like, chemical stripper?
But it sounds like they want to flatten it.
Oh, gotcha.
Because things may be bowed or cupped, right?
Gotcha.
So if you want to flatten it, you don't really have much of a choice there. So in those cases, you may have to just get clever. If you flatten it out and it's too thin for the dado, then you may need to go back in there and do some kind of reinforcement and shim each one of those shelves in its dado so that it's nice and snug. And that can be done by just adding a little strip of material at the end of each board to take up that gap, pop it in there with a little bit of glue. It'll be fine, you know. You could even glue the strip to the end of the bookcase or the end of the shelf. You could glue it on there ahead of time and make sure you have a nice snug fit. It's not the most elegant solution, but it might be the only solution in a case like this.
Well, and she has limited tools. She only has hand planes right now.
There you go. So what you might need to do then, pick up some commercial veneer, very small piece of veneer. And you can actually use an X-Acto knife and cut strips of that veneer. It's about a 42nd of an inch in thickness, and you can glue those little strips to the end of your piece.
Right.
And it shouldn't require any fancy tooling to get that done.
JB Alexander says, I'll be doing a layering of epoxy soon and was wondering if you have any recommendations for how to get a clear finish from it. That's what we're going to be working on,
Well,
right?
that's what we're going to be working on. Yeah, there's a lot of recommendations. Like I said, I've got a whole list of things that Pete recommended to me. We talked on Skype, and he gave me the lowdown on things you could do to reduce bubbles. It's a systematic thing, and I'm going to tell you right now, go to his channel, Pete Brown. He's going to be your guy.
Shop time.
Yeah, shop time. He's got tons of videos showing these techniques. I was too lazy to watch all the videos, so I called the guy. Like, hey man, you know, give me the Cliff Notes version. Yeah. What's up? And but seriously, he's got a lot of videos out there on it. I think he'd be a great resource for getting that stuff down. But we will cover some of those things in our build video.
Haley said that It is a she.
Okay.
And the shelves were cups, so she had to flatten them, and now they don't fit in the dado.
That's
so,
what I, yep.
Yep.
It's almost like I know what I'm talking about, Nicole.
I know.
You know what? We got a voicemail, and I can't wait to play it on the show. On Wood Talk, we're going to record today. We got a voicemail from a female listener thanking us for not being all like bro with each other.
If you did that, I'd
and
be
being
so
very female friendly and not treating her like treating women like men.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's pretty cool. I wish we had done it intentionally.
Yeah.
But this is just kind of the byproduct of who we are.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool to hear that feedback.
And
because you know what? I likes the women. Does that win me points or take me down?
No, that takes away point. Terrible.
I loves me some women.
Don't listen to them.
Okay.
All right. What was I going to say here? Oh, somebody asked, timely, we were just talking about the scroll saw. Allie Hobby, do you have a scroll saw? And if yes, which make or model do we own? Well, since we are sponsored by Powermatic, they own Jet. So Jet has a scroll saw, a 22-inch scroll saw.
Fairly new.
Yeah.
And it's a beast.
Like a year ago or so.
It's a beauty.
It's a beauty. And I just got that one.
Yep.
And I have some projects, some holiday projects that I want to do.
Halloween's coming. You better get on it.
It's next month.
So she wants to do something for Halloween, something for Christmas, but you got to do these things way ahead of time.
I understand that.
People like to plan ahead.
I have my patterns already.
Halloween's coming.
I know. I know.
So yeah, that's the one we have, the Jet one. We haven't used it yet.
No.
And it looks like a, what's the other brand, the green one? Is it Excalibur?
Excalibur. Yeah.
So people are saying it looks like a modified version of the Excalibur with some improvements, according to Mr. Snodgrass.
Didn't Alex say that he helped design that? Or
I don't know.
He had input on it?
He seems to know a lot about it.
He does.
So that may be. All right, what else?
We have a super chat from Sierra Lim Oscar. Hey, super chat works in my
Sierra Lima Oscar.
Sierra Lima Oscar. Hey, super chat works in my country now. I needed to try it immediately. So this is for the coffee and donuts fun. Enjoy. Thank you, Sierra.
Is that like, you know how in the military when they need to spell things, they have like Oscar, Mike, things
Alpha.
to stand? Yeah. Is that what that is? Sierra Lima Oscar?
SLO?
Can any military people tell me? So he's SLO is what he's trying to say?
Maybe?
That he's slow?
I don't know.
Let's all of our military, let me know. Am I onto something here? Am I just pulling crap out of my butt?
I don't get past alpha. What is it? Alpha?
Alpha? I just can't get past alpha. There's only 25 more to go.
Charlie, I know Charlie.
Oscar, Mike, Charlie.
I'm sure there's a whole...
Spagnolo for S.
Whenever I have to say our last name and spell it for somebody on the phone, I feel like I need to know each, like, S is in Sam, P is in Paul, A is in Apple.
That's a great story, Nicole.
It is a great story.
Thank you for sharing.
You're very welcome. Oh, Nest Cheese in the chat. Happy Friday, mates. We'll be glad to see some girl power in the shop. What are you planning to make first with your scroll saw? I've used mine to make puzzles, as you know. She made us some really awesome puzzles. I was just cleaning up the other day and put one together.
Yep.
Here's some bottle caps for you. Cheers. Oh,
Nice.
She's playing Fallout.
Fallout. We love them caps. Chopping the meat.
So yeah, I have some Halloween projects that I'm going to scroll saw.
It's just, we can tell them what it is. It's like a light. So you have a little tea light on the inside, the scroll saw image on the outside. It almost looks like a napkin holder because it's got that gap in the middle. But you just turn a little light on. It's orange light, and it's a nice Halloween decoration.
What kind of, is it like cheapo plywood?
Just super thin, cheap, like craft plywood.
Craft plywood.
I don't even know that I could buy it where I would normally buy plywood.
You're probably okay. Yours came out first.
So I think we probably would need to go to the craft store.
Yeah.
It's a super thin, like 1/8-inch thick stuff.
Yeah, it's like potato chips.
Maybe I should just make my own, lay up some plywood out of some sheets of babinga. You make your own homemade plywood?
Can we just make it more complicated?
Well, we could also anger some people while we're at it.
This project is very simple. Let's make it.
It's so easy for the holidays. The kids can get involved. Let's start by cutting our own veneer. All right, what else?
Benjamin is in the chat.
Oh, that guy.
He's almost done with the tilt-top table.
It's about time.
So Ben, thank you.
I've been waiting for days for that.
Publicly, I'm gonna thank you publicly for helping us out. We had a few videos
thank you, Ben.
in the guild that didn't have chaptering. So one of the benefits of the guild is We have this cool chaptering system along the video.
Let's
so
be honest, Nicole. I talk a lot.
Yeah.
So you're going to want chapters to get through the things you need to get to.
I need to know about this. Oh, there it is. Click.
So Ben's helping us with sitting through old videos and chaptering them. We know each other's pain this week.
Yeah. So he's hooking us up with a pizza. So thank you, Ben.
Oh, you're a man, Ben. Thank you.
I can't get a pizza for that amount. Oh.
Pizza's very expensive.
I'm just kidding. Crap. Don't worry about it.
Okay, wait, what kind of pizza am I buying for $5? I can't feed my family on a personal pizza.
Rodrigo, thank you for all you do. Love supporting you all. Have you ever planned on doing a TV lift cabinet project? That's a cool, we thought about that.
Yeah, it's come up. The hardware for TV lifts are really expensive. We had a company who was going to sponsor a video with a hardware lift in it. That kind of fell through.
But they did the video. Let me look. I'll look for it.
It's certainly possible. The problem with a TV lift cabinet, you really have to have the right situation for it. And for us, we don't. When we were looking at houses, when we were trying to move to Colorado, there was one house where the living room was set up in such a way that the viewing area for a television was basically up against where the stairwell to go downstairs was. And there was kind of that like wrought iron sort of fence. It's not a fence because it's on the inside, but it's a rail. So if you had a TV there, it would obstruct the view through the stairwell and to the front door. It's the perfect situation, and they had a TV with a lift in it so that when you're not using it, it goes down. You've got this nice little sort of credenza-looking thing, and you could see straight on through to the door. But then when it's TV viewing time, it pops up. We don't have a situation like that in our house, and I'm a gear nerd, so I love seeing gear if possible. I don't mind seeing it on the wall.
Yeah.
We have an alcove in our bedroom where the TV just hangs out there. So maybe not, I don't know.
So I'm linking to the video that we were just referring to. It's from a guy named John Peters.
Oh, yeah, John Peters.
It was sponsored by Touchstone Home Products. They have the lift mechanism, and they wanted him to build the cabinet. So
those are pricey.
Yeah.
That's the kind of project like the grandfather clock, where the clock project itself is one thing, but then you've got to spend $800 on a movement and the clock mechanism and the chimes and all that stuff. I don't like doing that. Yeah. But in this case, maybe. I'll give you a firm maybe. How about that? All right, what else? We got to wrap it up.
We got some questions from our Discord chat. Sam B, I can't wait to see your scroll sawing. Have you seen Justin Christensen's work? No.
She can't even say it.
No, I can't.
Not only has she not seen it, she can't pronounce his name.
He's known as Scroll Saw Scribbler.
Good job. Good job.
Scroll Saw.
That's that Missouri education right there.
Stop it. It's just me being tongue-tied. Scroll Saw Scribbler on Instagram and Facebook. Check them out.
There's one thing, Instagram has taught me, well, also the internet in general, there are so many talented people out there.
It's amazing.
And you know what's funny? They've always been there.
Yeah.
We just didn't know about them. Like we didn't know about each other. It's so amazing. And Instagram, for some reason, is a community that lets me see these things in a different way. Because there's a lot of people who are just on that platform. They're not really making videos, they're just Instagrammers. And I am constantly blown away by the number of talented people who are there, able to snap a picture and share what they do. It's freaking amazing.
It's awesome.
I mean, there's a lot of people around the world, and there's
quite a few.
There's a punk band that I listen to, and at the end, they were doing a live concert, and the guy at the end says, I need to make a public service announcement. He says, there are hundreds of millions of people all over the world.
And that was his public service announcement.
That's what that reminded me of. Oh, no, it wasn't.
No, who was it?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
So anyway, there's just so many talented people. And if you're not on Instagram, you can follow us there. You can follow all of my friends there. Everybody's on Instagram.
All my friends.
All my friends.
All my friends.
Millie is on there. She's got her own channel, a Doberman channel.
Robert Krieger wants to know, I have a small garage shop, so my table saw is something is sometimes used for assembly. Is there a specific kind/type of paper roll I should use to protect the cast iron from glue drips?
Glue drips? Thick paper, butcher paper. I would say any paper you can get in a big roll that isn't expensive. So big butcher paper is probably a good idea.
I have this huge butcher roll of paper.
Is that really, butcher paper is the way to go, right?
Yeah, and I think I got it for like $10.
And it's going to last a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would. Butcher paper is a good option. Usually what, like 3 feet wide? It's usually pretty wide.
Yeah, it's like this.
Yeah.
Mateo can lay on it and I can draw.
That's right. We did like the body outline for Mateo, like a crime scene.
Ben also had a question. Does Marc have an opinion on Lee Valley versus Lee Nielsen for a block plane? This would be my first plane besides a Lee Valley router plane I own. And I have it narrowed down to either of those. Unfortunately, neither exists close to me, so...
6 1/2 dozen, my friend.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be unhappy with either one. Which one, you know, if one's cheaper, get the cheaper one. If one looks better, get the one that looks better. In the block plane format, I don't think there's much difference. Now you have to look on a plane by plane basis. For instance, on the router plane, I would hands down say, we just talked about this on Wood Talk, in fact, that the Veritas version of the router plane is the better way to go. Because they've got a bunch of different blades on it. You can reverse the orientation of the blade, so it acts like an open throat versus closed. Lee Nielsen sells both open and closed, so you'd have to have both to get both functions. You can get it all in one here. This is very clear to me. This is 100% get this from Lee Valley, but not everyone is going to be that clear.
Right.
So it is a little bit of a give and take in the block plane, whichever one looks best.
And he even said, would you go with a low angle block or a rabbeting block?
I always say the rabbeting block plane if you don't have anything else. Because you can do other things with it. If you already have, or you have aspirations to own something like a shoulder plane, this is by far the better tool for doing things like tenons and rabbets and just kind of going right up to the shoulder. So if you're going to have this, then just go ahead and get yourself, you know, one of the regular format block planes, either low angle or whatever, like regular angle. But the rabbeting block plane, like I said, it's a multitasker, and if you don't have any tools at this point, this is going to get more jobs done, but it's not necessarily as good as the specialized separates. Cyrus
says he saves cardboard from large boxes instead of butcher paper.
Okay.
So cardboard.
That's a good idea. There's times where we have cardboard for weeks trying to get rid of it in the recycling.
I know.
So yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And you could probably reuse it. The butcher paper, you're probably going to get one use out of, but the cardboard, I could...
you could even do a combination of the cardboard and butcher paper.
But you could. You can make a whole thing out of it. All right, anything else?
I think that's it. Did we thank the patrons?
We will right now.
And I'll remember to pick somebody. Or are you going to pick somebody? Did you already pick somebody?
You can pick. So yeah, we just want to thank some people who helped us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/woodwhispers where you can go. We've got some nice rewards set up there. We give you, what is the $5 or higher level? You get priority for your questions to be answered on the show. And we'll like you a lot. We'll think about you at night.
Lovingly.
We'll lay in bed and just go, I love my patrons. They're so nice.
They're so sweet.
They're so sweet. So we want to thank these folks who jumped in this week. Wilfred Verhulst, Ben Lindis, James O'Rourke, Cliff Chambers, and Peter Dunphy. Well, thank you so much, folks. We really appreciate the support.
And I'm going to pick Brody Bricky.
Bricky.
Brody Bricky. Because I do like the...
break it down.
I do like the hidden compartments.
You're making more work for me, Brody, is what you're doing.
All right.
Okay.
I think that does it.
Yes. So thank you for watching, everybody. We will catch you next week. When's the next PM show?
It's on the calendar.
Is it? Okay. thewoodwhisperer.com/calendar is actually where you're going to find all those updates. And
the sales.
All of the sales in the guild each weekend that we have from here through Christmas, you could find those there. So if you want to plan your purchase ahead of time and you're not sure if the one you want is going to come up for sale, you could see it all right there. This weekend, again, it's the wall hanging cabinet, and I worked very hard on that. I earned my money this week.
Haley hooked us up and gave you the full alphabet. Alpha, Bravo. That's what it. Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot.
I think that was it then. Those.
I don't. Oscar. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't know that that's what he was doing.
Right.
But it could be.
But
give me credit for recognizing it. Okay.
Sierra is us. But look at that.
Thanks, everybody.
Hi.
You want to say hi to Millie before we go?
Aw, Millie. Look how skinny she's gotten.
Millie's lost some weight, haven't you? You're so fit and trim, and you're beautiful. Ooh, look at you.
She's a little
look at you.
Dry. It's getting dry here.
Everybody's dry. Yeah. It's Colorado.
It's getting dry.
I'm just gonna leave it on her for a few minutes. The Millie cam.
Millie, sit. Sit. Can you sit?
Do a high five.
High five. Oh, good girl.